pleasure to welcome you here this morning, and I hope everyone is in a great of health. We would like to welcome Dr. Mazlan Abbas, CEO of Favoriot Sdn Bhd, lecturers, staff, and students. Thank you all for making time in your busy schedule to join us here this morning for a special talk on the Internet of Things and Application, IoT, which is a very interesting topic. Okay, moving right along. It is now my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Mazlan Abbas, co-founder and CEO of Favoriot Sdn Bhd. He is ranked among top 50 global thought leaders on the Internet of Things, February 2019, and Digital Disruption, October 2019 by Thinkers 360. Top 50 Most Impactful Smart Cities Leader by World CSR Congress 2017. Ranked top 10 in IoT Top 100 Influencer by Postscripts 2017-2018. Ranked 20th Thought Leader in IoT by 2014 Analytic Reports, The Internet of Things Top 100 Thought Leaders. And UTM Alumni Industry Personality 2016. He is also one of Global Vision Board members 2017. Before Favoriot, he spent 2.5 years as CEO of Redtone IoT and 8 years in Mimos Berhad as Senior Director Wireless Communication Cluster. He also spent 13 years in Celcom as a mobile operator handling many senior management positions. Prior to Celcom, he spent 10 years as an associate professor at University Technology Malaysia. Okay, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Faiz Asraf Saparudin as moderator to begin the talk.
Okay, thank you, Miss MC Siti Nurtrafika, on the introduction on our guest speaker, and welcome Dr. Mazlan Abbas to our session on industrial talk today. I think without further introduction, I would like to invite Dr. Mazlan Abbas to deliver his speech.
Okay, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. First of all, thank you very much to Dr. Faiz for inviting me to this talk. I think we have arranged this for quite some time, and selamat berpuasa to all of you. You know, and because of this COVID-19, we have seems that we have changed a lot during the last 1 year, and but it also give us the opportunity to reach out further due to this using webinar model. Otherwise, we have to be physically to be there. But I think one of the main topic that I would like to share today maybe is about, as you know, Internet of Things is one of the key element moving forwards into the era of Industrial Revolution 4.0. And in this session, we will have a little bit more, not really in depth in certain topics, but overall to get you, all the audience, to understand the importance of this new technology, Internet of Things, and also about the relevancy, its relevancy towards the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Yeah. So if you have any questions during the presentation, you can raise your hands, or and then we can compile the questions and put in the chat, and then we can answer it later. Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry if you can hear the mesin potong rumput dekat belakang. It's just unfortunately today they
on my end, okay, Doctor.
Yeah.
On my end, okay. I'm not sure about this, but on my end, it's loud and clear.
Okay, then it's no problem. Okay, let me share you the slides. Okay. So I will consider the new generation who is interested in the Internet of Things. We call them the generation IoT, because these are the people that it is the people who have that interest, who have that vision to apply this new technology into their either daily lives or into their businesses, or even use this in terms of transforming their organization. So I call them the generation IoT. In fact, when Kevin Ashton coined the term Internet of Things, it was sometimes in 1999. So it was, I consider that it was very
Early,
very early, and at that time we have not even thought about how this new technology can even transform destructively to many organizations. But that was the time when Kevin Ashton talked about just using RFID. But today we'll see that a lot more sensors have been used to deploy the Internet of Things. If you take a look, whenever we heard about Internet of Things, sometimes people abuse the term of Internet of Things. They call a lot of the applications out there as IoT. In fact, you need to define that IoT have four main components. Otherwise, you cannot consider them totally an IoT solutions. Yeah, this is what I think a lot of people get confused. But these four main components are, we need to know that the first component is the sensors. Human itself, we have five senses. The sense of touch, the sense of hear, and all these five senses can be turned into digital. This is what the technology is all about. When they digitize this information, it can represent the human senses. But in fact, it's more than the just human senses that we have. The five senses. We have like the sense of temperature, humidity, proximity, the sense of speed, the accelerometer. We have sense of location using GPS. You sense of the sight using camera. So all these are the kind of sensors that we have been using now, and it needs to be in digital. But however, these sensors are very quantitative in terms of giving us the value. So it didn't translate us into the value of, I feel comfortable. Comfortable in what kind of temperature? The temperature, whether 20 degrees Celsius as a temperature, but 20 degrees Celsius means uncomfortable for many people. Yeah. So
Yes.
so that's the qualitatively way of making a meaning out of that kind of data. So people have different way of measuring that. When you say that I'm in UK Perdana, you don't know where exactly UK Perdana, but if you have a GPS, a location, then it can determine you accurately where you are. So in certain things, sensors like this in a quantitative manner give you a more accurate measurement. So that kind of data is needed in terms of making decisions. So once you have that sensors, it needs to have you need to build a device around that sensors. So you must have your CPU, a method for you to electronically to change from analog to digital, and then you must have a communications module to send this data out. So these communication modules depend on what kind of network that you want to send. It can be through a fixed network. You can have a wireless network. But most likely in IoT, because of the small nature and the way that you want to deploy these sensors, which is sometimes, most of the times, battery-based, it can be anywhere. And the easiest way to connect these sensors to another server is through wireless. So wireless have many technologies that are being used in IoT. So regardless, you can have like, a body area network is very close to you, few centimeters, you can have like RFID, NFC. This is one way to connect the sensors to another device. And then from there, you might have a Bluetooth, Zigbee, and then you might have Wi-Fi. So another one, you might even have consider that other outside from the building, you might not have the local area network connectivity. You might use wide area network. This is where like technology like 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and then in terms of satellite-wise, you for very wide area network, you can use that to connect sensors from the jungle, going to the satellite and so on and so forth. So it doesn't matter what kind of technology it is. You need to understand who are the people that can deploy these networks. So you can be dependent on organization like the telco themselves, who's using license-based spectrum. So, for example, in IoT now they have these new technologies, what they call the LP1, the low-powered wireless area network. So you might have like NB-IoT, narrowband IoT. That is mainly for the telco who sends, who operates the infrastructure. Then you have LoRa. So LoRa is either can be a private organization, private telco, or even a private organization, or even you yourself individually can deploy a LoRa network. Yeah? And then we have like Sigfox. Sigfox is an alliance, a company who have their own back-end system. So you connect Sigfox. This also Sigfox and LoRa are using the unlicensed band. Yeah. On the spectrum, like narrowband IoT is a licensed spectrum. So from there, you need to send the data into a platform, as a server for you to collect all the data. This is what we call the middleware or the IoT platform. So the middleware it can be a normal simple server, a database server can collect one data, but it can be a little bit more complex than that, because different sensors have different way of sending data. You might have different protocols also, different messaging format. So in that way, a flexible middleware is required for you to connect the sensors, and then from there it will manage the devices. And then because you also require to build an applications around that data that you have collected, or analyze the data, you might create an API. So some platform have an API for you to access the data, extract the data out, and then you can do some big data analytics, or even you can do some applications or new applications built around that. So this is the four main components. A simple application, a simple example is that we have been using IoT for many years. It's just that we didn't realize that. Yeah? Yep. So for example, like the smartphone itself, I consider that an IoT, a big IoT device, but now the smartphone can be small. So in the smartphone, it has a GPS. Yeah. So a Waze application, Waze, yang kita use for traveling purposes, because it use the GPS as a sensor, they use 3G or 4G as the connectivity. It sends to the Waze platform, the middleware, and from there it builds an application called Waze. So that's how they monitor your location and whereabouts. Grab also the same thing. You have applications that can detect where are the Grab drivers. This is how they use this. It's just that we didn't realize that we have been using this. Yeah.
Yep.
But of course, there are two types of applications in IoT. It's either the consumer type of applications, consumer based, or the industrial based.
I see.
So it's the question of in which area that you want to be. So in terms of your journey towards Internet of Things, when you graduate, you can go into two. You can be the end user side, and the end user who are actually the demand side, who wants to transform your organization, and you want to adapt and embrace IoT technology in your organization. Or you can become the supply side. You are the one that produce this technology, produce a new applications or new services. So this is where I think I would like to share with you in which path that you want to be. Yeah. So I will cover both of them for you to understand that. So the complex thing is more if you want to become the producer. When you want to become a producer, you need to understand more in depth about the technologies within that space.
Yep.
If you are just a consumer, you might need to understand how it will transform your organization.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So for the start, I think most of you need to know, because a lot of times when I see projects that have been built by the final year projects, they build a solution first, and then when we, as the panel of judges, will ask you again back, where do you want to apply this? So then you just try to think, it can be apply this or this or this. You are not sure. So sometimes, so I think the best part is that you have to understand before you build anything is in what problems that you want to solve it first. That's the most
Exactly.
important part. And then from there, you will find the right solutions to build around that. Yeah. So if you're an organization, if you are the end user, you might ask the vendor and say that how IoT can benefit my business. Yeah. So that's one way. Another point is that if you're the vendor, then you see and advise them in your organization, you might have different areas that we can improve them. So I call this the 7M of the businesses. So either you are the end user or the one that want to supply the solutions, you take a look at which one of the M or even the 7Ms that you can improve them. Yeah.
All
So
right.
same thing with your final year project too. So for example, if you're talking about the first M, which is about the manpower, how important is manpower to you? If you feel that you are limited in the sense that you cannot expand your manpower, or you have too many manpower and you want to reduce them, you might use technology like IoT to do that. So either you maintain your manpower but increase the productivity, or you feel that you can digitize them, IoTize them, you can lower the manpower cost. Uh, I think you remember the days when last year we are trying to do this apa tu kita nak TMB kan, not TMB, sorry, before the TMB thing is that because of the whole total lockdown, your meter reading is unable to be measured. There's no meter, people from TMB can go out and we have difficulty in moving around lah, the mobility kan.
To the
So
MCO lah.
finally we have this 3 months bill, given to us
500.
because so we are caught with that kind of, because
Yep.
some says that we just estimate and all that kan, because they don't have a smart meter reader. So what if you can do this even without traveling to one place to another place? This can reduce a lot of manpower movement and cost lah. Yeah. So that's about manpower. If you want to talk about the second M, it's about the material or in this case, if you are sending or transporting your goods, you want to ensure that you want to understand the quality of the goods, the condition of the assets, yeah, whether it's a very good condition. Sometimes, like you are sending this Pfizer punya vaccine, so it need to be maintained in a very precise kind of temperature. So you need to make sure that you monitor them. Even the goods that vegetables they want to send, so the truck that's carrying the goods must be able to measure the quality, the temperature and humidity. So the same thing in the warehouse. Sometimes we don't take note of the materials and the goods. Sometimes you overstock, sometimes you understock. And so this is to save a lot of cost. You need to understand where are the assets. So if you put sensors in the assets that you can track them, then you will know the condition of the assets and the whereabouts of the assets. Yeah.
Yep.
So the thing is that if you have expensive machines, and sometimes machines like this is underutilized. So what if you can share the unutilization time and to be used for other purpose? So like trucks, sometimes you have tractors. These are very expensive machines, and laying idle doesn't make money. So that's one. Another thing is that you want to ensure that you can maintain, do a proper maintenance of your machine so that it was always be in a very good condition. You want to see whether there is any errors, occurs when the machine is running 24/7. So this is where you put sensors inside that machine. And then the fourth one is about method. A lot of times, before the digitalization days, we are using manual. So sometimes manual and sometimes electronics they still requires human beings in between to allow you to make decision-making process, to sign off certain things, to ensure that data is correct before you move on to another thing. So if technology like this can trigger and making sure there's less error, so you can make decision fast, and it can reduce a lot of processes in between. So there's no more red tapes in between. The people are not there to always take a look of the data. So you become faster and more efficient in doing that. So that is the fourth M. The fifth M is about the market. You feel that sometimes when a problem like this is not only confined to Malaysia or local market, it can be global issue, the same problems too. So it's about time for you to can use the similar products and can enter new market easily because digitalization happened. Yeah. So and the fifth part is always about money, the top line. So we feel that some of the products are already saturated, so you don't know what are the things that you can enhance it further. Yeah. So for example, I will give you an example later how we can transform it further from one step to another step. Sometimes the products is, I think you have seen a lot of products that which doesn't exist anymore. The people, when we take film, film now being turned into digital, yeah.
Yep.
So cassette recorder, video recorders, it's all now into a digital form.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be stagnant in that position for many years because
Yep.
other companies is going to supersede you. So you can
Disrupt.
disrupt you. So new business model can be created. Yeah. So because of new things, people have not gauged it. People have not realized that how it works. You can create a new business model. I will share with you how we can create new business model out of this. And of course, you want to save cost if you want to. And finally, the 7M is about management. So the management previously, maybe they will get data every week, every month. So it's not real time. But with technology like this, it can gather data very fast. So you can even have a real time information. Previously, you might have management who have only one or two sources of data. But with technology like this, IoT can give you multiple data streams from different sources. So you can have you can have more transparent in terms of data that comes in from many areas. So this will allow you to make better and accurate decision making. So again, where are you? So if you want to transform organization, you will ask yourself, what is the main problem that my organization is facing?
Yeah.
And so from there you can do the actual providing the right solution for that purpose. Yeah. So IoT, when I mentioned to you about that four main components, that four components are very complex. It's not all organizations can, not single organization can give all, or they can produce everything. A telco is only a telco. They don't develop hardware, or they might not even have an application developer. So a hardware provider who designed the hardware is not a telco. They are not having a platform provider. So you need to have end-to-end of these four components. So they have to work in a very conducive ecosystem. So when you out there, as a user, you might see a company, but this company actually will need to work with other partners to give you a seamless solution. So that's the reason why I think the ecosystem is very important.
Yep.
So when you are there, when you graduate, you might ask yourself in which area that you want to position yourself. So you can be the device player, the cloud player, or the applications player, or the telco player. Yeah? So because with this, you can help each other in filling the gaps or the weakness that other companies are facing. Yeah. So if you want to go to market fast, you might partner with another company who already have access to device market, who are well versed in that domain also. So you can work with them. So that's why I think an ecosystem is important. So Malaysia needs to build this ecosystem of different players so that we can complement each other. That's what we need. And where are the monies? If you look at this four components again, people make money out of the device player lah. That's more on the hardware game. But the margin can be small, but you need a big volume so that you can make money out of that. So if you are in the electronic part, then you build device. The network provider is the telco game, so they will charge you based on connectivity and all that. If you are the platform provider, you also can charge them based on the subscription that you subscribe on the platform, how many devices that you want to connect, what kind of data, how much data they want to send the data to the platform, and what kind of the services that the platform can provide. So sometimes the visualization board and all that being subscribed on this platform. On the fourth part is the application. So you might be the software player who just use the data and create dashboard, visualization, analytics. You can even do some consulting and all that. So these are the applications provided. So again, you can choose any of this area to be your main forte area when you graduate. Yeah. So what are the things that you need to learn when you want to build an IoT solution? Dr. Faiz ajar dia orang ke Syazwan?
Ada juga sikit-sikit.
Okay. So, okay. So to understand about IoT is because IoT is all about sending the data, and you need to know how data is being converted from the source and then sent to the destination. So 7 layers of SI is important in trying to understand how is data being transmitted in any technology lah. So in IoT, it's also the same thing. It might use all the 7 layers, or it might use maybe some of the layers, not necessarily all. So I think just to recap about, to all of you, the 5 layer or the physical layer, the layer number 1, using coax, fiber, whatever, you might have different modulation technique that you want to use it. So you have to understand. That's why you learn modulation in that phase. So that is what we call the physical layer. In the second layer is where the data link, where the frames is being formed. This is where you learn technologies and all the standards like you have learned. The 802.11, the Wi-Fi standards. You learn about WiMAX 802.16 technology protocol. Then you might learn about ZigBee 802.15.4, Bluetooth. So these are the second layer, the data link layer. When you learn about technology, protocol, you will learn a lot on this second layer. This is where the engineering communications people will learn this. When you reach to the third layer, it is where you talk about the IP. I think the normal thing that you have heard about, IP address. So this is which turn into your frames into the packets. So you can have security, then you have to learn about IP security, ICMP and all that. Then you move towards the transport layer. This is where it combines with your packets. That's why we always heard about TCP/IP. So the transport layer is where it was sent from end to end, from one device to another device. And then from there, in order for you to start a conversation, you need to go to layer 5, the session layer. So it will initiate the calling, or initiate the session for you to communicate. So this is where you learn API, sockets, WinSock, and all that. On the 6th layer is where you do the presentation layer, the encryption, the compression technique. This is in the presentation layer. And finally, the applications layer, you might use a browser for you to do that. You have your new applications, might use FTP or SMTP for email and all that. That is on the application layer. So, and all of this layer have its own security level, as you can see. The 7 layer might use password. The 6 layer might use SSH. So and then session layer might have a WinSock security. That TCP/IP also have different security. Like IPv6 also one of the security aspect. So IoT layers they compress it, or they might change it a little bit from 7 to 4, or they can combine it. So like the edge and network is like the things, the devices and the connectivity. And then there is a cloud where you connect it. And then you have a big data layer where you talk about data ingestion, where you harvest and store your data. And then you do the data analytics, where you do the mining, machine learning and all that. And then finally, the upper layer is where you create the applications, and the people and the process will come in that's where the transformation takes place lah. So because that's why they have like edge, network, cloud, big data, or business value. Like the 4 layers that I'm sure just now, you have the sensors, you have connectivity, you have the platform, and you have the applications. So different people have different way of explaining it, but it is remain the same. So one of the main thing now, because they have introduced LP1. LP1 is suitable for a cheaper, suitable, cost effective to transmit sensor data. It's because the nature of data is very small, data that's been sent very small, and it is battery sensitive consumption. So you need to ensure that it doesn't consume a lot of battery, and it needs wide coverage. Yeah. So with that, they developed this LP1. So the license spectrum, you can see like technologies like NB-IoT and LTEM is the most popular one lah. Yeah. But this is by the telco themselves. So the LTEM is an evolution from the current LTE that we're having now, running on 4G. And then they evolve into for machine. For NB-IoT, they have built from ground up. That's the idea. So on unlicensed band, they have this, the popular one is Sigfox and LoRa. This is the most popular one in Malaysia also. Like Sigfox is being operated by Esperanti. LoRa, mainly campuses, they build it, organizations, individual also they can build it. But previously they have Altiz to do that. Yeah. Like NB-IoT ni, Maxi, Celcom, DG, these are the big organizations who have NB-IoT. Yeah. So the rest to unlicensed band to I don't want to touch more, but this is very proprietary if you're in building lah normally.
Yep.
So like LP1 technologies, the details is like this lah. You have to understand because of the way that they do modulation, the technique, and the kind how big is the frequency band is being used. That will determine the kind of capacity it can, the kind of speed that you can transmit, higher speed, higher band, higher speed or longer range. Yeah. So and then the kind of power, transmitter power efficiency, and so on and so forth. So because of this, people get a little bit more complex. So it seems like macam sama, it looks the same, but which one to choose? This is where I think the system architect plays a role. So when you are being given a project, you need to understand first the requirements.
Yes.
The requirements first. Then you will select which connectivity is required. So this is more details lah. I just want, but I think I can share it later, Dr. Faiz. I think you share this to the students lah and the slides.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much.
Okay. So like the advantages for you, LTEM, they have a higher throughput, and then they are lower latency, and because they have these roaming features, so you can roam from one country to another country. This is more suitable in that kind of applications. So it is suitable for asset tracking. Asset tracking because they move from one country to another country. Because kalau you don't want to get lost when your vehicle is being moved to another country, you cannot get in touch. So you need to track them. Healthcare also the same thing, wearables, because you're also mobile, so you can fly one country to another country and you want still to be connected. Vending machine, home security. This is the LTEM. NB-IoT, because of the longer range and better penetration within the buildings, because within buildings, okay, tapi dia difficult in terrains because dia can absorb by foliage, especially dekat jungle lah, pokok-pokok so they very difficult. So but the data plan is more cheaper lah. Sometimes like you need to pay like 15 ringgit per month for like 3G or 2G. You might pay a fraction of that for NB-IoT. So
per device
per device. So that's why they're good for a lot of devices, macam sensor yang banyak-banyak, smart meter, agriculture, environmental monitoring, smart city. So they use NB-IoT. So sometimes we just look at this spider chart. By using this spider chart, we can take a look at, you want to take a look at the range. This is the requirement lah. Whether your applications is latency, kind of lack or a need, have problems with latency or not. You want to have which can scale or not. You want to prioritize the battery life or not. You want to ensure that you have better coverage or not. So with that, you can select. So you want to select like range and coverage, you might use Sigfox, for example. If you want to have scalability and latency performance, you might use NB-IoT. So you want to use battery life or cost efficiency and deployment wise to be make easy, you can be use like LoRa. So this is where the software solution architect needs to understand lah. So
Decide.
so when we look at this, we have that 4 components. So sensors is there, and also actuators. Actuators is the one that you can control things lah. Yeah. So regardless of whatever network I mentioned to you, it goes to a platform. So in our case, like Favoriot, I think our chairperson pronounce it lain sikit tadi.
Betul lah. Kita pun confused juga sebenarnya nak dengar daripada CEO sendiri. Favorite, Dr. kan?
Yeah. So you can pronounce
Okay.
it correctly.
Alright.
Favorite.
Favorite, okay.
It's like your favorite company lah.
Okay.
But it comes with the term favor IoT. So the favor IoT means that we are giving kindness to the user by providing IoT solutions. So the reasons why is that with all that data that you come in, this data dia ada panggil 4V lah, ada yang panggil 6V, ada panggil 7V dan sebagainya. Basically it's 4Vs. Data can come in big volume, sometimes small volume, big volume. Sometimes it can comes in variety, text, video, audio dan sebagainya. Data can comes in velocity, sometimes small, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. And sometimes data can veracity. The data is very uncertain. So like social media data is also, you cannot make certain of the truthness of the data. So we take this kind of data, people do the big data analytics, they call it. So data alone, the one that you have collected is actually the below of the below at the form of the pyramid. Because this pyramid, the higher you go up, the more value to the people and the more people willing to pay for that kind of understanding, the kind of information that you're going to, decision that you're going to make. For example, data below can give you like symbols, the bits and the bytes, numbers. It doesn't mean anything. But it's important for you to collect it, tons of data, but you need to translate into information. So when the moment you can answer the question of who, what, when, this is what they call information. The moment you can answer the questions of how, it becomes knowledge. The moment you can answer the questions of why, then it becomes understanding. The higher you go up, it becomes wisdom. So wisdom is very the topmost of, like human is the one that have wisdom, like machines doesn't have yet that. So because wisdom, they are comprised with the below part plus maybe some part of empathy and emotion, which robot doesn't have that. So robot tak adalah wisdom sangat. So robot can only give you the answer of why, how, who, what, where, when. So you got to understand. I think Dr. Faiz, the guys need to understand, because kalau you see a patient, a robot see a patient, dia kata the patient is only sick. So dia bagi prescribe it this, ataupun dia carry this person to one place, but dia tak tahu dia punya history of this person. This person might have other illness, historical part. There's no people actually handling them dan sebagainya. So but human is able to do that. So we just don't carry like robot carry one patient to one place to another place with the empathy at all.
We cannot replace human yet in terms of decision making kan.
Decision making which have empathy lah, I mean emotion
empathy, banyak lah element on human.
Yes. So
sebab tu UTHM dia ada with wisdom we explore, dia punya tagline dia.
So you have the tagline wisdom. That's why the highest, the topmost level of the value pyramid. That's the best part. So when you build a smart parking solution, how do you want to go to the upper part to understanding? Data that you have collected below, if you build a sensors, normally kalau kita tengok sensors for parking dekat underground, you have the infrared kan? Remember the infrared dekat bumbung, dekat ceiling lah. So the ceiling, they have these lights. So you detect whether the car is below them. So if there's no car, they kata empty. If there's a car, they nyala. They change the color into red, for example. So it only tells that there is a car there, 1 or 0. But does it mean anything? But if it can tell you that who park at that lot, who owns the car, what kind of vehicle, or where is the empty parking lot tu, kita dah tahulah. And when is the peak period? That is information. So the parking operator, would love to know more of this information, not only empty or full, kan? So they want to know more, and the user pun wants to know where I park my car dan sebagainya.
Okay.
So and then if you can turn that into like more data that you have collected, you will know how to make a new business model, how to implement a tiered charging mechanism. The off-peak may be murah, peak period may be mahal. So to discourage people to peak too long lah, kan? So then you can have equal access lah. So and then if these people doesn't pay, overstay, you need to charge them further. So this is the information good for parking operator. Finally, the parking operator wants to know I invest millions of ringgit on this parking lot. What is my utilization? But my neighboring parking lot have a high utilization, mine is low. But we are side by side. So you want to know why exactly. Maybe your service is not good ke, who park at that particular lot or when they park it, sebagainya. So whenever you deploy any solutions in your project, you ask this question first. From there, then you will know that if you want to know who park at that lot, you might have an ID. So a sensor that tells you the identification, what kind of vehicle, where you might put a GPS or some location, indicator there. When you might have clock that can capture the time dan sebagainya. So with that kind of sensors, you can have that. So when parking is outside, selalu macam mana orang pakai? You don't have infrared, you don't have anything on the ceiling to put infrared, kan? So they put sensors on the ground. So they put sensors, what they call the ferromagnetic sensors. Ferromagnetic ni they embed on the ground that can sense the steel, the car punya ni, whether there's something on top of them. So the moment it detects, it tells that there's a car on top of this parking lot. So and then you have to, when you work on the project, you have to ask who actually benefits out of this. Smart parking with sensors, maybe the user will benefit of this because they will tell exactly where the parking availability, right? So you can easily park there. And when the time is needs to be pay for your parking, you need to pay lah. And then the parking operator is also important for them. They want to know the parking utilization so they can build new business model. So data moves from one place to another place is just like, like I mentioned to you, from data they have collected, builds into information into knowledge become insights. These insights, they can tell you whether you can do even some prediction level, from normal historical that you can view, but now you can do some prediction by using some machine learning. And then you have action that you need to put in place lah. Okay, then I will share with you, since you guys are in first semester, you still have time to choose the right platform. You have looking on the IoT lah.
Yep.
So my suggestion is to use Favoriot IoT platform. Okay.
Of course.
So why this platform? Our platform is what we call the platform as a service. Traditional on-premise, if an organization have all the components from networking, storage, server, up to the applications, they own everything on their premise. So they have the IT department to do that. But sometimes they don't have the expertise. They outsource some parts of the component, the layers, to others. So for example, vendor will only manage the networking, storage, server, visualization. They call this infrastructure as a service. They manage the infrastructure, but the rest you still own. So you manage your OS up to the applications. If you feel that the networking up to the middleware, to the OS and all that being managed by the vendor, then you only manage the data and the application. This is where Favoriot is. So we manage everything, the IoT platform, but you own the data, you own the applications, you build your own applications. So we don't care. So you don't have to build everything, all the layers within you. So that's why a lot of times when final year project, they want to do everything, they build everything lah on premise. So you need to have all the components.
All hardware.
So for a small scale, it's okay. But the moment it become bigger scale, you have difficulty to manage them. Exactly. So, but there's a lot of the application with software as a service, which is like Gmail, all these application which is all software based lah. Like this Google Meet is all software as a service. You don't own, but you just subscribe it. So if you are trying to understand how many platforms are there now it's only 620. They mentioned about 800 already now in 2020. So there's a lot of platforms out there, but you have difficulty to choose which platform that I want to use to send my data. Yeah. So if you want to look the whole IoT landscape, you're getting confused. So many players out there. In which but IoT platform, if you see, there are 4 main categories. The publicly traded platform, which is like Amazon, Google, IBM. These are the people who are the Azure. These are the big companies who come in later in the IoT space, but they are big, expensive too lah. And then there are end-to-end connectivity player, the one that people design the hardware together with the software, the platform. So sometimes, but the platform is not open. So it's only meant for their hardware and their applications. So if you want to buy the solutions, they said that you have to connect to our platform and you have to use my application. So they don't open it. But then there's open source also. People, community based, they share among each other. But you can download it and build your own, and you can continue doing that. Yeah. But you have to manage your own platform lah. But then there's a developer-friendly platform. This one, we encourage the whole ecosystem to build the application based on this platform. So we make it easy for you to connect your sensors and to build applications. This is where Favoriot is lah. So again, the idea is manage the devices. That's the most important part. It connects sensors from different devices. They manage your data. They can also have some visualization. Yeah, and then you can integrate with other services if you want to. This is where we play a role. Yeah, if you want to consider any of the platform, you have to ensure, as I mentioned just now, it is network agnostic. It can cover from 3G ke, Wi-Fi ke, it can cover through 5G ke, LoRa ke, Sigfox ke, doesn't matter. Network agnostic, protocol agnostic. It can cover like co-app, REST, MQTT. So protocol agnostic. So you have end-to-end security, manage the data securely and easy for you to use. So this is how you choose a platform. So this is what the platform is all about. So you can connect as simple as Raspberry Pi ke, Arduino ke, ESP32 ke dan sebagainya through either directly send it to the 3G, or you can send through a gateway using your own gateway, Wi-Fi gateway. So this is where we manage the data. You see the data inside, you see the data and the devices inside the platform. Yeah. So it has a tool for you to test out your programming lah. So it also allows you to have some notification engine which includes some business logic. For example, if the temperature of three of my sensors exceed 30 degrees Celsius, send a telegram. If another sensors exceed 20 degrees, send SMS. Pun boleh juga. So you can use that business logic. Yeah? We have SMS, email dengan telegram. But if you want to take away the data and create your own dashboard, you can do too. Yeah? You can create your own dashboard, or you can even create your own IoT analytics with machine learning. So in a project like this, so you don't have to think about the things in the middle. So you don't have to build that. So just focus either, if you're electronic, you put hands on, you build the sensors. If you're in the software part, you build the applications. So if you want to build these two things, okay, but don't take your time to build something in the middle. This is where a lot of projects slow down because of that. So the way that we manage the devices, for example, you create a project. What is a smart campus as a project? Under smart campus, you can create applications, smart building, smart parking, smart weather monitoring, smart garden, or whatever. That is applications. From that smart parking, you might have like groups, parking A, parking B. Under parking A, there are the devices lain. These devices have this device 1, 2, 3. Parking B have different devices. So you can do that. And then these different data streams that goes out. So you can extract from the project above, you can extract which group that I want to extract the data. So you can extract the group 1 with all the devices under them. You want to extract group 2, all the devices under them. Or you want to extract application 1. Everything that under application 1 can be extracted into that project. So you can create, insights, better insights. Yeah? So what we offer is that we have a lot of these applications, API documentation for you to test it out. Okay, so you have API keys that you can manage the devices, you can have graph board dan sebagainya lah. Yeah. So we support co-app and QTT, REST dan sebagainya. So this is the platform. We have about 109 countries, 400 and I think now 4,200 more users around the world using this.
Right.
But the good part is that, as I mentioned to you, you can focus in which area that you want. The skills that are being required, for example, if you want to do the physical hardware, you require engineering skills. Yeah. So if you want to program the device, because embedded device, embedded programming, you need to program the sensors and to send the data out, you need the skills. Programming the server, that's the platform that I'm using now, and then displaying the data to the device, which you have a dashboard. So different skills are required. Ada PHP, ASP.NET, JavaScript, HTML dan sebagainya. So banyaklah skill yang boleh you pelajari. I think this is the skills that UTHM is teaching you lah. Yeah. So kalau nak tahu what are the top IoT programming languages, there's a lot from 1 to 14. So, but the most popular languages is that like devices, you want to focus on devices, you need to focus like C and C++. If you want to build the gateways, Java, Python, C, C++. The cloud, you must use Java, JavaScript, Python, PHP. They say that most valuable programming languages is Java, Python, C, and C++. That's the thing. So hopefully UTHM have all these skills. Ada, Doktor?
InsyaAllah. Python ada kita ajar memang di semester. Java aja belum lagi.
Okay. So C and C++ memang ada kan?
Itu memang dia punya core dia orang lah.
Core lah. So that's good. Because the reason is because these are the high level scripting languages. They can go to many machines, many devices. They're very matured lah. So you can get more documentation there. So simple steps to start your IT journey. One of the things, you take a census. Like for example, we work together in a Hibiscus, Myduino. They have this Hibiscus IoT punya board.
Local punya board
a local board. So they have ESP32 as a controller. Dia banyak apa tu sensor dalam tu. Dia ada altitude, barometer, humidity, temperature, accelerometer, gyroscope, banyak. So it's already built in. So you don't have to campur. So you use this thing to build an electronics ataupun extra things around that thing to make an application. So you can send your data to Bluetooth ke atau through Wi-Fi lah. So from there you can send the data to the platform. The third part, and then from the fourth part you build your own application. Yeah. So I have a lot of these QR codes that you can scan later. So once you download the slides, nanti I will share with Dr. Faiz, and then you can share with others. Yeah.
Alright. Right.
So if something like this, a small device that already in a small form factor, if you can put into a box dan sebagainya, you can create applications like for tracker badge, because dia boleh track, dia ada GPS. This one tak ada GPS. This one tak ada GPS, dia belum letak lagi. Tapi kalau you can include a GPS, you can track it, and then you can do macam-macam lah, SOS alarm. Dia ada gyrometer, accelerometer, will tell you whether there's movement or not, people fall down or not. Then they boleh, if you put a SIM card, you can have voice communication if you want to. So the idea is focus on that device and the scenario that you want to help, whether it's for what applications. Because a simple device like this can cater to applications like for senior people, retirement home, yang kat retirement home, for doctor, employee, people are, delivery workers dan sebagainya. Banyak application di scenario. So that is the market that you can focus with one simple device. So it's good for solution provider lah itu. This one I want to give a context. So get ready. So I plan to give this three vouchers, 100% free discount lah.
100% free 100% discount.
100% discount. 1 year subscription.
Wow.
So beginner plan ni you can subscribe free, but this one beginner plan, so it's better lah. They have better subscription. So get your phone.
Okay guys, semua buka keluarkan phone masing-masing.
Keluarkan phone masing-masing. Unfortunately kalau you pakai phone for this Google Meet susah sikit kan. You can use a computer lah.
Laptop atau phone lah.
Laptop atau phone lah. So I give you a couple of minutes to test content. log in to this platform.
Go.
Scan the QR code. You can register is as free, tapi guna valid email address. Pakai email address yang valid. Kata we cannot send you the price. Number 1, who's the first one? Number 10, yang lambat sikit. Nombor 20, yang terlewat lah. Who register, still dapat.
20 orang pertama lah kayaknya.
Bukan 20 lah, 3 voucher je.
3 je.
3
pertama
voucher.
10 dan ke 20. Okay.
Yes, yang pertama yang paling cepat, nombor ke 10 dan nombor ke 20.
Okay, login.
So kita akan hantar email nanti selepas ni siapa yang akan dapat. Okay. So bagi you masa lah sikit. Dia tak susah aja pun.
Just register je lah kan.
Just register. Kalau siapa yang dah register awal pun, dia boleh guna email yang lain untuk register.
Okay. Kena register baru dululah kiranya.
Register baru.
Okay, alright.
Sebab time pukul 11.
Okay. Memang sharp. Dah set lah kiranya.
Set the time tu.
Okay.
So this time, siapa yang register nombor 1 will get this. Siapa yang terlewat sikit, nombor 10 yang lewat sikit pun dapat. Terlewat lagi nombor 20 pun dapat. So kita mengalah. Tapi kalau ada 10 orang je register, nombor 20 tak dapat lah.
Alhamdulillah. Kalau tak 1 year subscription 100 Dr.
Ya, RM100.
RM100
worth. So dia difference that dia kalau yang free tu dia hanya 3 device dia boleh connect. Kalau beginner account ni unlimited devices kita boleh connect.
Kan maksud yang dapat ni akan boleh connect unlimited
devices.
Wah, for 1 year.
Lebih daripada 3. Kalau yang free dia hanya 500 API, maknanya 500 data saja yang boleh dihantar. Sehari. Tapi kalau yang beginner 5,000. So kalau yang 500 tu dia bila hantar banyak sangat dia berhenti. So you tak boleh nak demo lagi kan. So kalau data tu terlampau banyak lah dalam sehari tu. Kalau 5,000 tu boleh hantar banyak. So you can show demo dan okay.
Nak demo agak FYP nanti dia stuck pula kan.
Yes. Lepas tu yang free ni hanya email aja. Yang beginner dia boleh Telegram sekali.
I see.
SMS and ada option lah. You can subscribe to SMS. Beli sikit lah dia punya SMS.
Tambah features
top up dia lah. Dan yang beginner ni dia boleh extract data tu.
I think 2 years back pun saya ada subscribe juga. For RM50 dapat masa tu ada discount.
Ada discount. Saya dah nampak ramai juga yang dah register. Masih ada peluang lagi. Saya tengok.
Tak apalah, I sit out for this one lah. Bagi peluang dekat student kita.
Bagilah peluang. So kita ada lebih kurang maybe. Tak apa. I think since you kata we can extend a little bit. A little bit lah.
Sama-sama tu Doktor. Ada soalan ni dekat comment section. Pada student kita. I have a question regarding LoRa. To my knowledge, in Malaysia, most frequency is regulated. May I know what is the frequency that can be used in Malaysia?
LoRa tu guna frekuensi Wi-Fi 2.4 GHz.
2.4.
So dia unlicensed band.
Tapi macam NB-IoT, currently our provider dah ada yang roll out ke? Macam Celcom ke, Maxis ke?
Ya, ada. Maxis
dah ada.
They have to talk to them lah.
So dia tak iklankan lah benda-benda ni kan. Kita have to talk to them lah.
Macam Maxis dia banyak sikit dia iklan tu, tapi yang lain tu
macam
you have to talk to them. Sebab the problem is they cannot launch the network without any customers require from them. Dia bukan macam voice. Like voice, whenever you build a network coverage, there is some people you are going to use it. Like IoT ni you might build dekat Petaling Jaya, maybe not even one is using.
Kan, maksudnya we have to ada demand dulu baru dia boleh build the infrastructure lah ataupun the connectivity there lah.
Yes, that's why they require the demand. So it's not that cheap jugalah to open up the spectrum for the license
kan.
To start off.
Kalau dah ramai maybe, kalau dah benda tu popular maybe boleh jadi lebih murah kan.
Yes. Okay. Apa, ada lagi question ke sana? Tak ada.
Ada question number 2 dekat bawah ni. How 5G will impact the development of Internet of Things in Malaysia?
Yes. Every network have different characteristics. Yeah, like when we evolve from 1G, 2G sampai 5G, it's because of the speeds and the capacity. Yeah? Every time when it evolves, it creates new applications which require different kind of speed and latency. So 5G, they give you big capacity, very big, gigabit per second, plus latency they very low, 1 millisecond less for that. So because of that, application for IoT might be different. So that requires low latency ni, for example, you want to make operation, kan, or remote operation, you need a very low latency kind of network. 5G is required. So you need to operate a machine which very instantly. The moment you make a command, it moves. Tak adalah
Precision.
very precision. So you bergerak, tak adalah delay 10 saat kan.
Habis terpotong pun orang tu.
Terpotong lambat kan. Lepas tu you move lagi, orang tu dah bergerak tempat lain. So
Lagging
we
pula.
don't want to do that. Autonomous car require like 5G.
Yes.
So drones. So instant command. That requires the kind of 5G network. But other application which is very slow speed, coverage is very far, you just still using the LP1 technology. You don't need 5G. Yeah. So that is what is the criteria lah.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions? Tak ada.
Okay, ada ni from Nur Shafika. She want to know about the security in IoT, I think, kan? IoT security, right?
Okay.
Kalau ada orang hack data ke, kan?
Yeah. In fact, there are always two questions lah, security and privacy. Security is all about technical. Security, if you ensure that your system is well secured, having certain security measures, for example, like some encryption technique, better authentication, that is required. For example, in a device, your software patch need to be always updated to ensure there is no people going to hack. Kadang-kadang your device is too old, dia tak ada security patch, you cannot remotely change the firmware. So that is a problem. So people can hack into the system. So that's the device part. In the connectivity part, it's more secure because telco, like 3GPP, they have make a standards that all the communications in 3GPP is well secured, ada security level there. And then dalam network part, you might have like IPv6, security level tunnel dan sebagainya. That is on the transmission side. On the platform side, it's well like macam cloud lah. So if you don't believe the cloud services, then if the cloud provider is being hacked, no one will trust the cloud provider. So they have a very well secured database and the way that you access. And then the applications layer is where the weakness part lah. People might deploy thousands of IP cameras or IP devices, password dia tak change. So the moment you don't change the password, and then people can access to all the devices. That's human lah. That's the human part. But all the layers. So that is on the security.
Yep.
On the privacy, it's all about business. Privacy means the data that you own or the organization own, whether you want to share or not, it depends on your rule. So, for example, you download Android app tu, there is a business decision that you have to make. Whether the data is being used for marketing purpose or not, you have to accept or not. Kalau you don't accept, you cannot download the app. So they allow you to take data from the GPS and sebagainya. That is the business rule. Location, your identity, being used for what purpose, is always business. But people don't know, they just say yes to everything, and then when your data is being leaked out, you say that, data breach, security is being breached. Sebenarnya you allow your data to be
usually kita tak baca pun.
yes. You say yes to everything, otherwise you cannot download it.
That's why. That's why.
Alright. Any questions?
Clear. Okay, lagi next guys, this is the time for you guys to ask question.
Kalau tak ada, I'll just go a few more slides dan kita
okay, alright, sure. Sambil tu dia mungkin dia orang boleh post kat sini lah. Silakan.
So other than that, now this is the real applications that you can build. Applications can come in, macam I cakap tadi, yang the diagram on the left side. You have air quality, water quality. Air quality this is all about environmental lah, water level, weather condition, river monitoring dan sebagainya. If this data come from many sources, different providers are being deployed for this kind of services. So you can blend the data. You can create one application for smart city, for example, smart city that comprises of all this data. And then you can have like a smart city in like in data center. You want to measure the ambient temperature of your data center, your parking, your noise level, air pollution level, odor monitoring for water treatment plant dan sebagainya. So you can also have this application being deployed. So for IR 4.0, for manufacturing, you might want to monitor your asset, your warehouse condition, your factory, power monitoring dan sebagainya. You can do that. One example that recently that we have is on the power monitoring. It's a very simple problem. Not a simple solution. The problem is this. The problem is there is a campus. Every building of the campus ni, dia banyak building, different places. Dia ada network hubs in a room, kan? So to support the network for that building lah. So when the user says, I don't have, suddenly when the network is down, who's to blame? Is it the IT people, network is down? Or is it because there is a power problem? Because there is interruption problem juga. So everyone is trying to, pointing, this is not my problem. so the easiest part is that we put in our device that that monitor the powernya, AC power. So it's connected to the machine. Itulah, kalau there is a power trip, instantly both party will receive, but it will tell there is a power trip lah. So when the network down, there's no power trip, then the IT people have to come. So that then easily left who to respond. No one is pointing to each other. So they will send through Telegram. So bila power tu off, dia ada battery. So it can stand on its own. You can still send SMS or Telegram data. So they can stand on own. So when the power is on balik, dia akan bagi tahu that the power is on. So that's how a simple solution can help, a very simple operational issues. So finally, how do we start? If you guys want to start as a solutions provider or whoever, you are the end user, the easiest one, you pinpoint the problems, identify the business case, develop at least a small and focused solutions. Kalau you don't want to make it very big lah, because you might spend a lot, but finally you might not get anything, ROI. But if you want to start small and see the impact. So when you see the impact, simple just now, just like this, then you can scale up. Or you can also integrate with your back-end system later. Previously, you only might have a standalone system. But now, since there is already a back-end system, your IT system, your maintenance system, then you can connect to your back-end system. Then you can scale up, or you can create a new workflow, because, as again I mentioned, with IoT, the process needs to be changed. And new business model can be created too. You might see that now I don't want to charge them based on subscription base. Kalau dulu you buy based on the feature dan sebagainya, then you buy on subscription monthly. But you can also say that you can pay based on business outcome. Business outcome dia macam gini. Do you buy a water pump? The reason why you buy a water pump dekat field tu, because you want to transmit volume of water from one place to another place. That's why that's the reason you buy a water pump, right? But what if you don't buy the water pump? You pay based on the volume of water. So meaning to say, the supplier just put the machine there, but whenever you want to have 10 cubic of meter of water, then you transfer that. You buy lah based on outcome. So for example, you pay insurance based on you just pay insurance, doesn't matter, subscription per year. But why? What if your health is better? So if you put a wearable device that tells you that your health is like 90%, you pay this amount. Your health is 10%. You have to pay higher lah insurance.
Low risk, high risk lah kan?
Low risk, high risk. So they tell you the risk factor, then you have to pay based on that much. So people will say, hey, I want to be healthy, so maintain my healthy lifestyle. So with that device, it will tell you that you have to maintain every day your healthy lifestyle. So it's good for the user, it's good for the insurance company. Kan? So this is a new service based on outcome.
Buka minda tu. Kan, kalau tak kita straightforward je kita fikir application dia kan. So nice. Okay.
So I with that, I just my presentation. Let's go back to there is any questions that
Okey, terima kasih banyak diucapkan kepada Dr. Mazlan Abbas atas perkongsian yang sangat-sangat baiklah, sangat-sangat padulah. Kita pun macam mana memang expert in the IoT field and also experience lah. Sebab for untuk semua yang ada kat sini, sebenarnya saya dah kenal dengan Dr. Mazlan ni since I think 2010, and the first time I heard about the terms IoT is from Dr. Mazlan. So that's how dia punya itulah the experience lah. Okay, so kita buka kepada soalan. Ada siapa yang ada soalan boleh on mic and just ask the question. Guys, please, anyone from the class especially.
Just to announce, since I got the results now about the winner, I just announce here and then we will send that email to them lah. Unfortunately, only 18 registered, so you have there.
Alamak.
Okay.
Alamak.
Okay. That's pemenang ada. Kalau you nak register boleh lah. You can be the number 20th, whoever. But you still have that chance. But number 1 is Zulkarnain Syahidan. Congratulations.
Okay, tahniah.
And then number 10 is Nurin Ashikin.
Okay.
Okay, tahniah kepada dia orang.
Tahniah. Zulkarnain ada kat sini.
Ya.
Ada saya ada kat sini.
Congrats. You have 3 days nanti we send you the voucher. You have 3 days untuk subscribe kan benda tu So once you have already your email, you upgrade using that vouchers lah to begin account.
Okay. Alright. So basically kalau kita register pun kita dah dapat yang
free.
Yang free tu kan. Still kita boleh connect our device to the platform kan?
Yes, boleh. So it's just that 18 orang lah out of
itulah
51
saya.
Bukannya ada duit pun. Bukannya ada duit pun dia tak keluarkan.
Rugilah guys. Aduh, baik. Nak kena korang ni.
Okay, tak apa. Any questions?
Okay, any question please. Tanya soalan. Siapa yang tanya soalan kita bagi extra marks. Zulkarnain tak ada soalan, Zulkarnain.
Okay, saya ada satu soalan. Okay, Assalamualaikum Doktor. Okay. Saya nak tanya lah macam mana penerimaan company-company, especially from the manufacturing sector lah towards the IoT.
Okay. Kita tahu bahawa manufacturing sector dia ada mempunyai satu program yang kita panggil Industry Forward yang dilancarkan pada tahun 2018, penghujung 2018. That framework try to encourage kita punya manufacturing sector, especially dekat SME tu, to upgrade themselves into IR 4.0. So IR 4.0 ni, Industry 4.0 ni dia ada banyak pillars of technology termasuk IoT lah. Tapi sebelum sebelum dia orang upgrade benda tu, kita terpaksa melihat dia punya status, readiness status dia, readiness assessment. So what the government did is that they do a readiness assessment. They assess the companies who wants to join to do the assessment, to tell them where they are daripada industri 1 ke industri 4. Sebab nak go to industry 4.0, IoT dan AI dan sebagainya, you kena IR at least lah, you kena industry 3.0. You tahu kan? So sebab I nak just bagi tahu sebab ramai yang lupa bahawa kalau you industry 1.0, you guna physical, tangan, manual, is all 1.0. Dalam industri 2.0, you guna your machine tu dah ada elektrik. At least elektrik lah. Tak ada elektronik pun tak apa, elektrik. And then industry 3.0, you dah ada elektronik, you dah ada database, you dah ada online. That's 3.0. Industry 3.0. Industry 4.0 baru yang letak that on top of this 3.0. Sebab you dah ada online dah. But so when they do the assessment, it seems that kita 2.5. 2.5.
Yes, exactly.
So bila 2.5,
a long way to
kita
go.
masih belum lagi 3. Machines that is in the manufacturing maybe is only electrical. They are not even online, unfortunately. Kan? So it's you know what, you want to do measurement pun, atau nak tengok the reading, you have to look at the meter dekat depan machine dan sebagainya. So that one of the reason they say that maybe because they don't want to disrupt the whole operations and they don't want to invest new things, because it seems that they are doing fine, but they didn't know that other organizations already dah embrace, they have already moved forward, you know, so they have become more efficient, cost effective, more productive dan sebagainya. But so because of that, then baru kita akan lihat mana yang lebih yang quite ready, then from there kita panggil readiness intervention program. Now is the intervention program lah. So yang mana selected, they are being selected to intervene in any of the 11 pillars of Industry 4.0, IoT ke, AR ke, VR ke, AI dan sebagainya. Ya, so kita akan masuk situlah. So IoT akan ditambah baik. So that is this year lah. Tapi masa dia buat dulu, yang understand from last year tak ramai, couple of hundred je yang kita punya SME ni. Yang apply SME kita.
In terms of percentage, how many of them yang dah ready in Malaysia lah right now?
Very small. I don't have the percentage, but tapi bila I dengar yang readiness assessment tu, yang conduct tu is a couple of hundred je. Tak sampai 1,000 pun. Kita punya SME ni 900,000.
Kan?
Yeah.
Almost 1 million SME, tapi yang join a few hundreds.
Tapi dari SME kita banyak juga yang ada sektor lah, not only pembuatan tapi ada sectors. So now what the government does is that they look at more bigger picture. It's not manufacturing sector alone, it's the whole sector, education ke, healthcare ke, agriculture ke, you name it. We will go into that part.
Okay,
tapi
thank you.
Masa awal-awal dulu, Zul, is that we conduct our unofficial one lah, earlier before the government. So we measure, we said kita tengok pun 2.7. We have not reached even 3.
I see.
You just imagine the digitalization. Orang yang kat kampung buat keropok lekor, you know, dia IR berapa tu?
I think 1.0.
Kan? So dia mesti physical kan, dia tak ada online.
Yeah.
Dia pakai tangan ni.
Tangan.
They don't even have the data actually.
Yes. Itu unfortunately. So dia punya level tu masih lagi jauh.
Mungkin kita tak nampak value lah bila kita migrate to the to the next IR ni kan. Mungkin our SME ni tak nampak value, and then dia takut nak spend maybe. Yes,
I think because they feel comfortable when no one is disrupting them. Tapi the thing that disrupting them now is COVID-19. Last year when everyone is tak boleh nak bergerak dan sebagainya, then they understand that digitalization online is very important. So that's why the government now talk about my digital. So this program for digital transformation. Only last year that we realized there's a big gap in terms of internet connectivity, right?
Betul.
Because we thought that internet is everywhere. But then when people get internet at the panjang pokok dan sebagainya, the coverage, the speed is not there.
I think it's a blessing in disguise lah, sebab it's a wake up call for everyone kan, for nak move to the next stage ni.
Yes. So that's the precondition if you want to move towards the 4.0. Get online first. So actually there are 3 steps. One is digitization, from analog into digital content, digitization of your content. That's why I think the university pun sekolah kena convert from all the papers into digital. And then from the digital, you do a digital transformation where all your workflow, your processes now in digital. So we don't want that is come in between, like in the middle 1.5 macam tu. Dia macam kita content kita digital, and then bila kita nak sign off, kita kena print PDF, kita sign balik manual, scan balik, you hantar balik. That is not digital transformation. Okay, that's not digitalization. That's halfway through. What we need is digital signature. So everything is online. You don't have to print out physical, sign manual, scan again, send back. Lepas digitalization there, you can put the value add of this digital business transformation.
Yes, exactly. Itulah, that's what happened in our any organisation lah. They go halfway. Dia kata dia nak digital transformation tapi dia tak nak commit all the way through, kan?
Yes, yeah. So what happened is that we have this situation gitu with one of the government agency. If you go to that government agency, you can get things done less than 1 hour.
Yeah.
Maybe 15 minutes or so to settle it, physical. Tapi lepas tu dia kata sekali lagi kita nak buat, dia kata let's everything now online. The moment it go online, to get that things endorsed, it takes us 1 week. You need to do apa tu dia nak verify the user lah, you know, you get to
password hilang.
You need to sign up, get permission, get send the document. You know, after that, pungdang 1 week.
Alamak.
So
macam defeat the purpose lah.
Defeat the purpose. So in fact, we don't want to do that. I have experience, and we go to one of the local councils. One of the local councils, we want to transform them with not totally 100% online. Kita guna ada what we call favor sense, a complaint that use a mobile app using manual. Tapi the human have to make the complaint. Tapi the escalation process, the closing of the case is all digital. Okay, so it will reduce a lot of issues. Because previously, when people make complaint, they send people out to identify lubang-lubang jalan dan sebagainya kan. So manual lah, and then they have to come back, write a report, or they receive complaint from SMS, they have to convert that data into report dan sebagainya. So it takes a lot of manual thing. Tapi I cakap, if you want to do this, you have to transform lah. Dia cakap, then they show us dia punya workflow. I cakap, no, we cannot use your current workflow. Your workflow is a lot. Our workflow is just shorten everything. Our workflow is it's already stable. I mean, we have used this for many years, more than 10 years. So why should we change? You have to follow us. Ayo.
Macam tu macam mana lah, tak boleh lah.
So you defeat the purpose. Technology should decrease all this red tape dan sebagainya.
Betul.
So my plea to you, plea to you, maknanya when you go out, the new graduates, you are the digital native. These are the new generation IoT. Yeah, you are the one that will transform things. You will meet people, your bosses who are the older generation, the baby boomers, the generation X. Maybe they are, they don't want to change. So mindset is something is very difficult. You might bertembung lah your two ideal. So things that if you want to work, mainly mesti ada this company must be online. Otherwise, you don't want to work in that area. So, but you have that transformation mindset issue that you're going to face. So that's why the reason when I presented earlier is all that 7M business. Important for you to convince your bosses how technology can transform them. Yeah. So without that, if you don't create that demand, the supply side, which is people like us who have the technology, cannot supply to you. Yes. Where are we going? So Malaysia, Malaysia is not the place that we can sell to you. Again, so if we don't sell anything to Malaysian, the local organizations, then the company yang luar, the supplier also can die lah, kan? So there's no producer of technology because you are not supporting the local producer. Yep. That's the idea of producer nation. Yeah, the idea of producer nation. You build this product for your local company, and the company themselves will support them, and then from there we will grow. Yeah, you can imitate now, you can innovate the next step, and you can invent later. So the higher you go up to the value chain, but start somewhere lah. Yeah, but if no one is supporting them, then the supplier will die, and then we are not going to become a producer nation. We only become a consumer nation. We just consume lah. So when you become a consumer nation, you don't need all the skills that I mentioned to you, all the top programming language. Why do you need all that? You need all that because you want to develop new things.
Yes. And
with that, only your salary scale can go up. Otherwise, your salary scale will be maintained there because you don't bring any value. Kan? That's the idea. So let us together create a producer nation.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. I think last question, boleh, Doktor?
Boleh.
Okay, and ini from Batrisha, Nur Batrisha Busaina. how the development of IR 4.0 in terms of communication and what are the challenges? Communication teknologi lah ke macam mana?
Kena Batrisha kalau online boleh tanya terus.
Batrisha boleh on mic kita tanya cik. Boleh clarify tak soalan tu?
Awareness ke apa maksud dia? Okay, awareness. Macam saya cakap tadi lah, kita punya awareness. Did you know that for us to understand where is our awareness level, Google have already made that tool. If you go to Google Trends, Google Trends is a tool. You just Google Trend, and then you put Malaysia, you put IR 4.0. You search the trend from 2000 berapa sampai 2000 berapa up to today. Malaysia only understand about IR 4.0 in 2018. In fact, IR 4.0, we have taught this in 2014. Tapi kalau IoT, Malaysia start to Google the word IoT in 2014, where Kevin Ashton have taught this in 1999.
1999 kan, way back.
Way back. So we are late in starting to understand what is the need. So awareness wise, IoT baru start 2014. IR 4.0 start 2018. But I think COVID have expedite the whole awareness. Last year, I have received a lot of this talk about IR 4.0. So I think a lot of users now understand about IR 4.0 and the impacts. So the main challenges, as I mentioned, there are many challenges which I didn't show it here, but the 4 main challenges that I can just mention. One of the challenges is that we need someone who's visionary to understand that the impact of the one of the things that people have difficulty in identifying the business case. So which one is more important? Okay. Second is because of the talent. Talent is because technology like this is very new. Okay, you cannot blame everyone. So you need to learn technology. IoT also in the university, maybe a little bit late. When I joined it, I already know IoT since year 2000, 1 year after 1999 lah. So Kevin Ashton. So that's how long that I heard about Internet of Things. But when we launched IoT in 2014, we see there's a lack of skills, talent out there. Then we go back to the university. Then we saw the university doesn't have the IoT topics inside there as a syllabus. So that's a very structured syllabus. But now we have seen that IoT in certificate in IoT, diploma in IoT, degree in IoT, masters in IoT. UTHM ada masters in IoT. Okay. So now we have that. So it's quite good. So the talent, we are building that talent. And then the third one, we have this problem of when you're big organizations, you have problems of making decisions because you have a champion that can break down all the silos. So everyone is keeping their own data. They want to share and all that, and they want semua have different agenda or priorities and sebagainya. So IoT needs to have like we call the CIOT, CIOT, Chief IoT Officer, CIOTO, CIOTO. So the Chief IoT Officer, they can break down all the barriers. These are the generation IoT. The people who understand what IoT is all about. You can become the CIOTO, Chief IoT Officer, if you want to. So the fourth part is that it's all about having what we call mindset transformation, as I mentioned to you just now lah. So you might have a clash between this, tapi you must have this mindset transformation. I think mindset transformation senang sikit this year because COVID have us lah. COVID tells you that if you don't go online, that's it.
That's it. You're left behind.
Left behind. Okay, thanks Patricia for the questions. So there's none.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation, Doctor, and also answering all the orang kata mysteries of IoT yang sebelum ni kita macam bukan tak tahu, kita selalu dengar IoT, tapi ramai yang banyak misconception on what IoT really is. Sambil tu saya nak inform lah sebab our session ni actually is co-organised juga by IEEE Young Professionals, Doctor. IEEE Young Professionals juga co-organize program ni. So attendance, siapa yang datang sesi hari ni, dia akan dapat sijil daripada IEEE jugalah.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I think saya rasa sampai sini saja dulu untuk sesi pada hari ini. Saya bagi pihak FTK.
Datuk,
Saya.
sebelum
Alright.
tu, since tadi 18 ada yang registered seorang registered nombor 19. So I bagilah nombor 19 dulu.
Alamak.
Okay. So
Okay.
Farah Nabila Zulkafli.
Okay, Farah Nabila Zulkafli.
So thank you for the nombor 20 lah. So
okay. Boleh pula dia sampai 19.
Okay.
Okay. And also thank you so much Doctor for your generosity on giving the freebies to our students kan untuk start out with the favorite platform, and I hope our students pun boleh start using lah the free version even kan for your PSM punya application. So for our support of our local punya technology provider kan, benda ni bukan benda yang senang kita jumpa. Biasanya teknologi ni kita semua nak outsource kat luar, kita nak guna China lah, mana kat luar. Padahal our own homegrown companies ada menyediakan servis yang sebegini hebat lah. Dan saya secara personal memang respect lah dengan Dr. Mazlan daripada dulu lagi, sebab to be the one yang started off benda ni bukan semua orang sanggup buat. Start the company kan, Doktor kan? Your own company, and of course providing the cutting edge technology for our nation. Okay, I think saya bagi Dr. Mazlan ada closing remarks sebelum kita close kita punya session hari ini.
Okay, so Alhamdulillah, so thank you very much for giving us a time, about 1.5 hours. I think the idea for this presentation is to give you an eye-opener, importance of having new technology as one of your skill. So it doesn't stop here. I think technology like this can come and go too. So we see technologies comes in 10-year cycle. So but IoT is a very long time. It's because of a lot of other technologies didn't come at the right time lah. So make it cheaper. But we are seeing that growing fast from 2020 onwards. Yeah. So thank you for being here and become the next generation IoT lah. So we wish you all the best in your projects and your future career.